Yes, I do see the division of Berlin in East Berlin and West Berlin, but I have to say that I live in Berlin over 20 years. I'm trained in urban planning. I know the GDR urban planning, and I know the West urban planning through my studies. We walked through the city and could see how each nation state, the GDR and West Germany, both had invented an urban or city for a new society or the society they imagined. So I can see it from the style of housing, the streets, and so on. And I know Berlin when still public transport was divided, because you have to imagine that there was a circular public transport which was going through and in circles, and it was cut cross. Like we had subways that were running through the cities, and you had subway stations which were in dark because they were sitting on the east side, and you had to travel from west to the other side, and subways weren't stopping there, or the circular was just closed for a while, and it took some years. But in terms of public transport, it was kind of healed in many ways. But if you look at the tram, like the trams, you have them more in East Berlin, and on the west side, you have more public transport with buses for like short routes. So there are some legacies which are still showing that there was different types of understanding of urban planning, but also public transport. But I think for younger people who come now into the city, who haven't seen divided Berlin, I think for them it's much harder to identify which were former East, former West, because we have new buildings, new urban areas, and so on. And I have two sons, and I'm trying to explain them how that city has changed and how there was an East and West. And for them, it's very hard to understand that there was a wall running through the middle of the city, and it was dividing the city, and that people from each side of the other side, they couldn't visit each other. They're still, like we have, the wall is on the street, you can see it, and there are many maps and you can look at it. But now you have sometimes streets and you have buildings, and then you see it just on the street, and you cannot imagine that like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, there were no buildings, but now you have a lot of buildings and it looks like a normal city. So this is actually why I love Berlin so much, because it has this a lot of borders and frictions within the cities, but it's changing, and that's so exciting to follow the city throughout the years.